Welcome, you're watching Kaleidoscope Srilanka Live News Capsule.
With the ring of the new year, we have some new tax reforms to contend with. In December, the government introduced new tax reforms to personal income tax and corporate income tax, as well as VAT, withholding tax, among other areas. We called in our regular tax consultant on the show, Principal Tax and Regulatory at KPMG, Sri Lanka, Suresh Perera, to dissect the more important areas. What are the implications for personal and corporate tax when it comes to the new tax measures?
Yeah, with regard to the personal taxes, we see the personal relief of 1.2 million, in other words, 1 lakh a month, going up to 150,000 a month, in other words, 1.8 million a year. So there will be there are persons who will be going out of the income tax net. People who are getting salaries between 100,000 and 150,000 will not be liable for income tax anymore. So that's a relief. Then in addition to that, we also see that the slab, that is the next first slab of income has been widened. Earlier it used to be 500,000, which was liable at the rate of 6%. Now it's not just the 5 lakhs, it's going to be 1 million. First 1 million will be liable for tax only at the rate of 6%. And the 12% progressive rate has been abolished, and up to 36% there will be, not up to that, everybody, whether you are rich or poor from there onwards, is getting a tax saving. So tax savings starts from, say, 71%. The first category will receive tax savings of 71% to, in a decreasing percentage, all the others will be getting it. So you can see basically this is not a case of giving relief to the low income earners by taxing or increasing the tax liability of the high income earners. Everybody is getting a benefit here.
Corporate tax?
Exporters of goods are liable for tax at the rate of 30%, whereas exporters of services are fortunate and they are tax free right now, income tax free. The change was proposed earlier to create parity between the exporters of goods and exporters of services for both to be liable at the rate of 30%. That was the expectation. So now the good news for the exporters of services is they won't be liable at the rate of 30%, but they will be liable, but it will be at 15% rate. So from exempt status, they will go to the 15% rate status.
Tell me about VAT.
There is no rate change, but at the same time, I think there was an election promise that was given. They will try to give some relief in relation to the for the people in relation to this high VAT. So what we see here is there is a proposal to exempt milk and yogurt. Could be even dairy products going forward. We have to wait and see what will be exactly enacted into the law to be exempt from VAT. Would the prices of milk and yogurt at the marketplace go down because of this exemption that is granted? I keep repeating this. In the Sri Lankan VAT Act, there is a lacuna. There is no anti-profiteering clause. So, though there is a benefit given to the traders by exempting this product from the VAT, would the traders pass on that benefit to the consumers by reducing the prices?
And what is the impact of the increase of withholding tax, which everyone's talking about?
First, we have to understand that withholding tax is not a tax. What the president said is the 5% withholding tax will go up to 10% rate. So that's a rate change. This will not result in an individual or person's income tax liability going up. Liability is different, the concept of withholding is different. Withholding is a concept of collection. We pay our tax liability, we discharge our tax liability in two ways. Withholding mechanism and also self-assessment basis. So for instance, let's say my rate is 36%, 5% is deducted by the bank, and I still have to discharge the balance. That means 36% minus 5, 31% I have to pay on self-assessment basis on quarterly basis. Now what is happening is that 5% will go up to 10%. So 36 minus 10%, I still have to pay 26%. So that is what is going to happen. So this will actually introduce efficiency with regard to the tax collection by the Inland Revenue Department. But there is no impact with regard to my tax liability. My tax liability remains the same. The President in his speech pointed out withholding on the interest. Whether this will be confined to interest or whether this will get extended to other categories is what we have to wait and see, because 5% withholding rate is applicable not only on the bank interest. Right now it's applicable on service providers who are providing services, also individual service providers like the doctors, the lawyers, engineers, etc. Will they also experience 5% of withholding going up to 10% is something that we have to keep our fingers crossed to see when the law gets enacted, whether that category will also be subject to the 10% rate.
Suresh, is this also the right time to lift the import ban on vehicles?
There is nothing called right time, wrong time. If when we are going with IMF programs, you can't have blocks with regard to the imports and exports. So basically we have to fall in line, and that is why the government is introducing this change. So as we all know, there's a timetable that has been introduced with regard to the lifting of the ban in relation to importation of motor vehicles.
Anything you would have done differently?
Well, a whole lot, yes. Taxes to be collected by the government has to go up. There's no doubt with regard to that. But I would say that should be done systematically, and we need also, what the IMF is insisting is the tax collection to go up. They are not saying you have to collect taxes from this place, that place, etc. Now it is for us to sit and have a comprehensive short-term and long-term plan with regard to the taxes in Sri Lanka, and then present it to the IMF and agree with them to amend the existing program. Now for that, the first thing is Finance Ministry should create a tax policy unit. It is something that IMF also recommended in their literature, so that there will be taxes collected. At the same time, taxes are being collected from the right person, from the right places.
Don't forget, Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Do subscribe, follow and like us for more.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.